Good evening. Melissa Johnson here for episode 54 of Melissa Loves to Talk. Today is March 13th, 2026. Apparently the other day I said 2028. I didn't even catch it. Anyway, there is so much stuff going on right now. But tonight I have to be kind of short because we have table groups tonight. So I am just going to talk about the Save America Act a little bit, just because I know there are people that really believe that if you're a woman, you can't vote under the Save America Act. And if you have brown skin, apparently you can't vote under the Save America Act. So I am just going to read exactly what the Save America Act is, and you can decide what you think about the Save America Act. And if you think that it is sexist, racist, bigoted, whatever that the left wants to say it is. I'm a woman and I don't think it's sexist at all. But you know, all of a sudden they know what a woman is. That's the funny part. Most of the time they'll say they don't know what a woman is unless they want to use a woman to use against Trump and the Republicans. That's the only time they know what a woman is. So, the same old, same old. So I did pull up the Save America Act. I will read the whole thing to you. And again, I'll tell you what I think about it. And then you can make your own conclusion because this is the United States of America. For now, we have freedom. Can't guarantee you next year we'll have freedom, but right now we do. So I'm going to read it to you and you take it upon yourself to think what you think about it. Okay, so the Save America Act is a Republican-backed bill requiring proof of U.S. citizenship and photo ID to register and vote in federal elections, which it's not. You don't need proof of citizenship to vote. It's just to register. So that does say that, but that is not correct. Multiple people in Congress has said you would just need an ID to vote, that the proof of citizenship is just to register to vote. Okay, so the Save America Act is legislation introduced in 2026 by Representative Chip Roy, aimed at tightening voter registration and voting requirements for federal elections. Its primary goal is to ensure that only U.S. citizens are registered to vote, and to implement stricter voter ID requirements for in-person and absentee voting. Okay, so if you don't know, only 13 states right now don't have voter ID. So 37 states do. So it's really stupid to be fighting this, because in 37 states, you have people that are legals most of the time voting because they have an ID. So I'm really not understanding, but again, who am I? Okay, proof of citizenship. Individuals must have documentation proof of U.S. citizenship to register to vote in federal elections. Acceptable document is U.S. passport, birth certificate, military ID with service record, or certified government issued ID. Again, an ID is you can just be a state ID. You go to motor vehicles, you just get a state ID. I'm pretty sure mostly every person that's over 18 already has an ID. My kids have IDs. They don't have their driver's license, but they have IDs. Okay. So I don't know the big deal. Okay. So photo ID requirements. Voters must present a government issued photo ID. To in-person absentee ballots must include a copy of an eligible voter ID. And if the ID does not indicate citizenship, additional proof is required. So that's saying because nowadays we have a real ID, which you get a real ID says you're a citizen. So if your ID is a real ID, it'll say you're a citizen. And so if not, then they would say they could, which they're probably not going to. They're just doing that to make sure you're following the law. So they would probably say, okay, can you give me a copy of your social security card with your ID? Again, a lot of other places do this. Okay. So it's not like this is something different. Okay. In-person registration, mail-in or online voter registration would be largely restricted. Voters must register or update registration in person with election officials. Again, because you cannot register online with your ID. Now, mind you, they could probably set up a system to have you upload your ID to register online, which they may amend it to make you be able to do that, because they are talking about amending it a little bit to make it passable. So again, that may be possible. We did this to get my son's birth certificate. We had to upload his ID, through the website to get his birth certificate, because we're from Maryland, but we no longer live in Maryland, and he couldn't find his birth certificate. Again, it was a bit of a pain in the butt, but not horrible. So if they did do that, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But you can register pretty much anywhere to vote. So it's, again, not a crazy thing. Okay. State oversight and federal access. States are required to verify voter rolls and may need to share voter registration data with the Department of Homeland Security. They can already access some of this, but they can't access all of it. So that's why they're going to make it where Homeland Security can verify that everybody on your roll is legal. That's all they want to know. They're not going to verify which the federal government knows all the information about you anyway. So that's another thing they're trying to say. Oh, well, they're going to get your information. They know your information anyway. Okay. There's nothing they can't find out about you. Okay. Criminal penalties. Election officials could face criminal penalties, including imprisonment for registering voters without proper proof of citizenship, even if the voter is a U.S. citizen. So this is for anybody not having proper identification, which again, in 37 states, you have to already do this. So 13 states is a minority. So I don't know what this is such a big deal about. Of course, this is saying, Trump, of course, is pushing it. He wants elections to be secure. I don't know why people wouldn't want elections to be secure. I know we had a lot of fraud in our elections before, and it's not fair to people that are legally voting. So, okay, so support polls cited by proponents, I don't know what that means, indicate broad public support for voter ID and proof of citizenship requirements with majorities of Americans. Again, 83% of Americans want voter ID. That's, again, majority. Okay? So the opposition. Critics argue the bill could, again, disenfranchise, they love that word, millions of eligible voters, particularly women, like I said, young people, rural residents, people of color, and those without ready access to documents like passports or birth certificates. Voting rights groups warn the law could create administrative burdens and legal ambiguities for election officials. Again, just mumbo jumbo. Okay. Like I said, well, I guess I could read this part. Okay. Millions of Americans may face difficulties registering to vote due to strict documentation requirements. It's not strict. You need this stuff for just about anything. When you go get an ID, your driver's license, you need the same exact thing. The exact same thing. Okay. When you get an ID, you need an ID to buy alcohol, to buy cough medicine. Okay. When you go to get certain cough medicines, you have to have an ID. But they're saying people can't get an ID to vote. This is just absurd. Okay. So the bill could limit mail-in and online registration, which is what I said. So they can get probably around that problem. Election officials may face increased legal and administrative responsibilities with potential criminal liabilities for error. So again, that could be something they could fix depending, because it's going to be very hard to figure out who didn't check all this information. So I don't know. They'll probably end up taking that out. That's what I would do, just because to figure out who exactly registered the person, that's going to be crazy. Okay, so this is as of February. It had passed the House, and now the Senate has it. Where it requires a combination of Republican support and some Democratic votes to advance it. We have 53 Republicans in the Senate, so we would need 7 Democrats to vote, because it does need a 2/3 vote, which is 60. And again, 7 Democrats don't want to vote for it. So this has been the problem. Senate leaders are considering procedural strategies, including the filibuster, to do it, which is a whole different argument. I say do the talk and filibuster, because, hey, if you're going to be against it, you should have to say why you're against it. Make them work for their paycheck. Like right now, they're doing nothing. They get paid $174,000 of our tax dollars, and they're doing nothing right now. So work for your money. Stop sitting around complaining, doing news conferences, and doing nothing for this country. We have a Republican president, a Republican House, and a Republican Senate, and we can get nothing passed because they let the Democrats run everything. Why even care that we have a majority? So this is what they say is women that get married. Okay. I'm going to explain the process. I've been married twice, which I've had to change my name twice. Okay. When you have a driver's license and you have to change your name, this is what you have to do. I have to go to motor vehicles, which again, every 5 years or 8 years, depending on your state, you have to get a new license or ID. So when you go to get your license or your ID renewed, if you get married, you just have to have your marriage license. Now, if you just got married, you have your marriage license. So then you would go to the motor vehicles and you would say, hey, I just need to change my name. Give them your marriage license. They change your name on your license. Okay. If you're already registered to vote, they can change your registration when you go renew your license. Hey, I got married. Can you update my voter registration? Sure. They punch it in. You get a new card in the mail. Boom. That wasn't hard. That was not hard at all. But they're saying women are too stupid to know how to change their name. Well, I guess I'm double smart because I did it twice. So not really sure what the problem is. It's not that hard. If you do it as soon as you get married, you have your marriage license. If by chance you lose your license or your ID and you have to change your name, I don't know the circumstance. I'm trying to remember why I had to get a copy of my marriage license. Something happened and I need a copy of my marriage license and I could not find it. Okay. So where I got married in Tennessee. So in Tennessee, you just go to the courthouse and you walk in the door, you ask for a copy of your marriage license. I must have had my ID because I needed my ID to get a copy of my marriage license. So I don't remember why I needed my marriage license, but for some reason I needed it. I couldn't find it. So I went there, got a copy of my marriage license. Now I have 2 copies because I found the other copy. So problem solved. Now I have 2 copies. So it's not that hard. They, of course, just use any excuse because they want illegals voting because that's how they cheat. Okay. We have seen it in Fulton County in Georgia and Maricopa County in Arizona already. That's 2 cities and 2 complete states. So it's happening. They can't say it's not happening because there's proof that it is. So this is why they don't want to pass it. I say, do the talk and filibuster. Make these people say why they don't want to pass it. 83% of Americans want it passed. 83%. Okay. I know I'm not a math major, but I feel like that's more than 50. So that's more than half, which makes it majority. So that means they should want it to pass because majority usually rules in this country. But what do I know? I'm just a nobody paying taxes and paying people salary that don't want to work for me. So again, I did an episode. Hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't pay our taxes. Let's stop paying taxes because we have no representation right now. We have nobody in Congress working for us. They don't want to pass anything. They don't want to do their jobs. They just sit around and argue and do press conferences or maybe go on Fox News or CNN and complain about why they hate Trump or why they don't want to pass stuff because it disenfranchises people. That's what they do. And that's not representation. That is, you're just taking tax dollars to go on trips and complain about your people. So I've said it before. I can't say you're not going to go to jail, but to me, that would be a good reason to go to jail. And it takes them about 7 years before they'll realize you're not paying your taxes. So just saying, if we all stop paying our taxes, maybe they'll realize, hey, we're running out of money. I wonder why we're running out of money. Well, because you aren't doing your job and you don't deserve a paycheck. Again, if I show up to work and I don't do my job, I'm going to get fired. They're sure not going to pay me, that's for sure. So these things, I mean, I don't have an answer. Every day, I just don't understand what's going on in this country every single day. I sometimes want to just be like, okay, maybe it's, end times. Maybe we need to be getting our lives together, getting our hearts right with Jesus and being ready because it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. But some say, hey, it's got to get worse to get better. So that could be what it is too. Maybe it's just, this is the hard time. There's always a hard time and better things come. So we could be just at the hard time. And one day we're going to be like, remember when the country went crazy? Oh, we already had that in 2020. So I guess we're just still in the hard time. We were talking about that the other day. Like, we couldn't believe 2020 even happened. We were just like, I can't believe we were doing the stupid things we were doing. Wear a mask, number one, walking on one side of the aisle where it had footprints and standing 6 feet apart and all the crazy things we were doing just is crazy. But thank God we're not doing that anymore. But I will tell you, if people don't vote Republican, even though our people are not really doing anything, if we let the Democrats back in charge, they'll be worse. So right now, they're not working. the Democrats are in charge, oh, they'll be working against the American people. So I can complain about what's going on right now, but it could be a lot worse. So I'm gonna honestly don't have a real answer besides, yes, right now they're not working. Again, I told you what my fix for that was. It's not to not vote. You have to vote. You have to stay Republican. Okay. Don't think, oh, well, I'm sick of the Republicans, I'm going to vote Democrat. That is a no-no. Look what they're doing to all the states. Okay. Washington State did not have state income tax. They just passed where now they have state income tax. So all these years they haven't state income tax. Now they have state income tax. Now, mind you, most states have state income tax. So to people that do, they're like, oh, that's no big deal. But a state that doesn't, that's a big deal. They weren't paying state income tax out of their paychecks. And now they're going to have to. That's a big deal. So that's a tax increase. And then you have Virginia, who implemented 50 new taxes. Then you have Mondami, who's saying we have to increase, taxes on the billionaires. Well, we know what's going to happen. All the billionaires are going to move out, and then they're going to have to tax the other people. It's just tax, 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 tax. That's what Democrats do. So you can be mad at the Republicans, but at least they're not increasing our taxes. Which, yes, probably the city you live in probably does increase the taxes here and there. But again, guess how you stop that? You vote in your local elections. Because the people that are in there right now increasing your taxes are probably not people that you would have voted in. But if you didn't go to vote, they got in there and now they're increasing your taxes. And also, if you go to your city council meetings at the city hall or whatever, that's what we have here. You can fight those taxes. If you go to the meetings and they say, hey, they're going to raise taxes, if you go and fight them, they may not raise the taxes. But if you're not involved, they're just raising your taxes. Again, it's all about being involved. If you just sit back and say, oh, that's the way it goes, that's the way it goes. It's not going to change. So it is get involved. Vote in every election. All the city, all the state, all the federal. Every single election. See if there's special elections. See if there's, even the school board. That's a main one. That is the main one you want to be voting in. Who's running the schools in your area? Even if your kids don't go to school, think about other people's kids. That's what I think about. What other people's kids are getting taught. So be involved. Vote in those elections. You can keep those crazy lefty Lulus out that are going to indoctrinate your kids. So just be aware of all the elections. Look it up. I've said this also multiple times. All you got to do is Google it. Are there any elections in my zip code this month? Like I said, Georgia just had a special election Tuesday. Have a runoff April 7th. So just Google it and it'll tell you any election that's in your zip code in the next month. Or probably, since it's midterms and stuff, it'll probably tell you for the next couple months. What elections can I vote in this year? You can say this year. It'll probably give you the whole list. But the one podcaster I watch, he said just do it once a month and just be like, is there an election I can vote in this month? Just because that's now instead of the year, then you got to remember the whole year. This would be just, okay, I have a special election the 25th. Not hard. So I have to get off here. So I thank you so much for watching. Sorry it's very short, but my table groups today. And this is just a basic little podcast just about the SAVE Act. You can reach out to your senators and leave them a message and just say, hey, please pass the SAVE Act, or please do the talk and filibuster. Leave them a message. That's all you got to do. You can leave them like their local number, and you can call their DC number and just say, hey, please do this. Even if they're a Democrat, you can call them. It's just annoying to them. So, hey, do it to be annoying, honestly. Just because they deserve it. They are doing nothing right now. Annoy them. So, thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow, I will be on here and I will have a full podcast. It should be about 5 o'clock when I get on. So, thank you so much for watching. Please like and share. Comment if you have anything to say, any questions, anything that you need me to help you to reference. I can do my very best or put you in the direction to find the answers. So I hope you have a great evening. If you're going out, be safe and have a great